Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Book Leads Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the people and the colleagues in my network. So these are great leads that I'll be interviewing on these books. And I want to know which book it is that's contributed the most or a lot to who they are as a leader, as a worker, as a person, what have you, whatever the case may be. And in this series, I'll be covering three books. The first type of book is a book that I haven't read that they're telling me about. A second is a book that we've both read, whether in our past lives or specifically for the series. And then the third book is when I'm speaking to writers. They have their own books or publishers that are working on books. In this particular episode, I'll be talking to the author of a book. And in this episode, my guest will be Tina Kadish. And Tina is a dynamic speaker, life purpose, and business coach, trainer, and author of Freedom: 7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business. Tina has over 2 decades of experience in leadership development, team building, and talent acquisition. She speaks and coaches at events all over the country. Her strategies lay out the roadmap, which give her clients the clarity and insight to escape their 9 to 5 jobs. Thank God. She helps make dreams a reality. As a result, her clients are getting their time back in their life, which is priceless. It's amazing. They have the freedom to spend quality time with their family and friends. Her clients create a life on purpose while prospering in the process. Tina's clients are achieving financial success in their personal and professional lives, which enables them to give back to their community, which is just as important. Tina brings a plethora of experience in various industries. Tina's mission is to impact people's lives by living with joy, fulfillment, and freedom. She's easy to work with and always over delivers. She's a true professional. And Tina and I met, and that was her bio. And obviously, I threw my little feedback in there. My moments of appreciation, anything that has to do with getting your time back, especially with your family and whatnot. I think we've all seen the value of that during the pandemic. Those that could afford to have more time with their family. And Tina and I met through the National Speaker Association Connecticut chapter. After a chapter meeting, I think the first time we saw each other and you kind of get a sense for who people are, we set up a time to talk just to learn about each other and our businesses. She told me that she wrote a book. So obviously, here we are. I think anybody that knows me and has watched and listened to this series knew I was going to drag her into this and have her tell me about what her experience has been with her book, why the book, the value of the book, and some of her background to see how it is that she came to be in the career that she is and sharing the insights that she does. So, Tina, thank you for sitting down with me for this conversation.
Thank you so much, John, for having me here. It's such an honor to be here and sharing the message, not only from my book, but your listeners, I hope to share a message that might resonate, with someone, and I'll share my story, how I got into this, if I can. Is
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, of course. I
okay?
was First question is always, who are you today? What is it? What is it that got you to where you are today?
Okay, awesome. So how I got started is that I got laid off from corporate America. Myself, I was in transition. And I found myself laid off for the first time. I was a single mom with 2 kids, and I was a trainer at a major Fortune 500 company, and found myself for the first time in transition of the rug was pulled from under me. I had always left positions, not taken it away. So if I found myself in an uncharted territory, and I was not only angry, but I felt rejected, frustrated. And so I started a journey of self discovery and started to network. And I, started to go to some networking meetings. And through my networking, I learned that over 85% of working individuals are not happy with where they are in their careers. They're stuck, they're miserable, and they're going to their jobs paycheck to paycheck. They're unhappy, but yet they don't try to figure out what is it that they want to even do. They have no focus, no clarity, no direction, but yet they're staying in that place of being stuck. And I liked what I was doing. I love training. I love being in front of people. I love, public speaking. However, I wanted to be an entrepreneur is what I learned in my journey, that I really realized through a tool that I now coach my clients to discover your passion, is that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I want to impact other women primarily to find their passion. Now I work with men as well, but my primary focus has been women. And so I started my business with helping people find their passion. And through the years, working my business part-time, I did go back to work
Hmm.
because of fear. And I was working my business part-time, working full-time as a corporate recruiter. And I was there for over 10 years. And I finally left in 2018 to focus on my business full-time because I believe that all of us can be, well, not all of us can be an entrepreneur. My dream was to be an entrepreneur. And why? It's because of freedom. And I'll share that because that's why my book is all about freedom. And I'll get to that. However, entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Hmm.
For me, my values are freedom, flexibility. I wanted to be in control. I wanted to have my time. I always felt rushed. Being told what to do by someone else, making money for a company. I wanted to make money for myself, for my business. I wanted to be in control. We are the CEO of our life.
Hmm.
And so that's really what, my passion is, that I want to help other women to find their passion, to live in purpose. And even if they're staying in a career at a company, but are you loving what you do?
Exactly, exactly. And I don't. I hope nobody. I don't. I hope nobody takes from you that you're saying everybody has to make the jump. I mean, you clarified entrepreneurship or whatever it may be is not for everybody, but I think it. I think you're kind of along the lines as me when it comes to. I just want you to know what's out there. I want you to know your options. I want you to consider these particular things. So even if you do want the security of a 9 to 5, at least make sure that you're tapping into what makes you happy, what makes you passionate, what drives your energy. Because you, like you said, there's nothing like working a 9 to 5 that's not tapping into that, and it's just soul sucking. Let's just call it what it is. So no, I see the push, and I understand why somebody should at least consider again what your message is. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, being open to solutions, and I think the pandemic taught us that, people are now finally, I think, reassessing where they are in their life journey. And they're saying to themselves, do I really want to go back to an office? No, I want to work from home. I want that flexibility. I have a family. I have kids that I may have to homeschool.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of shifts, a lot of changes are happening. So people are pivoting today than ever before. And I just, when I see this transition, that more and more people are now starting to question their careers and like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I haven't been happy in a while. I mean, I have a client of mine that said to me, my job sucks the life out of me. I'm
Yeah,
tired.
I just talked to a colleague yesterday. We hadn't seen each other in a while, uh, and I asked him how he was doing. Obviously, to catch up, and he said, "Good, everything's good. The only stress that I feel is when I'm at work." He said, "Everything else in life is amazing. Everything is great. It's just this place that I'm at is just, So it's like you always wonder if the workers ourselves or the bosses themselves are really, and it varies from company to company, who's really making an effort to monitor the mental health. Because stress to me is just mental health in most cases, to monitor and make sure how people are doing. It's not just like you said, it's not just about getting the results. It's about seeing how people are doing themselves. You can't drive them to burnout and expect, well, at least we're getting results, so it's worth that cost.
It's not worth the cost. And this is the thing that more and more companies need to really focus on the mental health of their employees to see, are they happy with what they're doing? Maybe they could be in another position that is more aligned with what they want to do with their strengths. So you can make those changes within an organization if that's possible. It depends
Hmm.
on how large a
Hmm.
company is, of course. But it's really, when you're leading from the heart versus the head, I
Yeah.
think you can make more of an impact. And I'm all about leading from the heart, really, that energy that you're putting out there, to your employees and as an organization as a whole. And, this person that you mentioned, I mean, the stress from the job will carry into your personal life.
Everything crisscrosses. There's no threshold. There's no threshold. If you are in the office and you leave the office and you leave the parking lot, you leave the city that you work in, there's no barrier. I mean, what the bad stuff from work is going to carry over. The good stuff from home may get diminished by that experience in the home office. So there is that separation doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist because I used to take it home sometimes. I literally would have to sit in my car and just breathe and decompress before I would get into the house because I
Yeah.
knew. that I would take it out and just share it in my with my
Yes.
family. Then my family was tired of hearing me,
Yeah.
including my spouse. And
When
this is when I say to people, you're going to affect relationships. You're going to affect you, it could affect your marriage. I mean, it affected my marriage because my husband was tired of hearing me complaining, and he's flat out said to me, "Do something. You've been focusing
yes.
on your business part-time. Why not make it happen full-time?"
Yeah, when my wife and I first started dating and I would get into my busy season or work would be crazy, I'd come home and just kind of veg. I'd sit on the
Yes.
couch or sit here, or sit there and just veg. And, everybody's going to have their own reaction. Everybody's going to have their own response in terms of coming home and how do you handle it.
Yeah.
Mine was just to kind of just sit there and just let it kind of seep out of my body. I try not to take it out on anybody, or
Right.
so I,
Right.
I take my time and whatnot. But it's amazing how it impacts you, and we can't be fools and think that again, that barrier exists. It impacts us everywhere. Like you said, the pandemic, I think, points that out clearly, that there is something there, that it is a matter of mental, which leads to physical health.
It does. It does lead to physical health. And, when you're, like every day going into a job and could be anger, it could be just, I'm just frustrated because, part of me is when I was at the office, I would always be like, I'm working on my business part time. And I was frustrated because it wasn't going, in
Hmm.
the direction. And so what I really did was I made a decision in 2018 to step it up, and I was getting clients along the way as well, but I really stepped it up and I took action. And one of the things that really helped me, and, talking about books, Jack Canfield is a mentor of mine. I love Jack Canfield. I read his book, Success Principles, that impacted my life. And I went to see Jack Canfield in Boston that year, and it was all about breakthrough to success. How do you break through? And affirmations is something that I use every day, and I really started to visualize more that I was leaving my corporate career. And so I believe in visualization. I believe in really saying those positive words to yourself, but taking action. So I really stepped up the action to leave and put that goal out there, and I put the date on my calendar. I created more money, emergency fund. I created a cushion. I planned. In other words, my advice to everybody who might be contemplating leaving their corporate careers and can't do it right now, it's okay, but
It doesn't
create a
have to
plan.
be all or nothing. It can.
Exactly.
I think people always think with anything, oh, I have to pull the trigger. I have to go 100 miles an hour. I got to do it. They never think in increments or in gradual steps. That's
That's
it's
right.
our vice. We always think if we go 100%, it doesn't work. That means I failed.
Exactly. No, it's incremental steps, but the key here is what are you doing every day? Do one thing every day that's going to move the needle, move you closer to your desire. I always talk about, with my clients, getting clear with your why,
Hmm.
knowing what your why is, finding your why and working with that and really map it out, create a plan. Like we just said, you don't just jump ship and
Yeah.
just decide to be an entrepreneur, or just quit your job and go and think you're going to go get a job at another company tomorrow. No, it's a process, it's a plan. So yeah, it's so important that you really get that clarity, that focus that you need, having
Tina,
that direction.
and so before we jump into the book that works in that direction, your book, how did you end up thinking this way? What's your background? What was like your, not to go into anything too personal, but was it because I mean, who you are today is driven by who you were yesterday, who you were as a child. Like I'm always curious with people that I interview, how is it that your life as a child, as growing up or in education, what was your youth like that might have led to who you are today?
Okay, great question. Yes. So my youth, I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but I was a very shy, introverted person. I had a low self-esteem and inferiority complex. I didn't believe in myself at all. Okay. I really didn't. My mindset was totally, I didn't believe it. I didn't even believe in the word dream. I grew up in a household where it was just money was scarce. I had the mindset of money was not enough. There was never going to be enough money. We were just a regular middle class family. My father was the breadwinner, and I was the oldest of three girls. And it was always money was always scarce. And so I just believed that go get a job. And this is what I was brought up: get a job, with good benefits and stay there forever and you're going to be fine. Just go to work. You just got to have a good job. And okay, save for a rainy day because you never know what's going to happen. I get it. Saving for a rainy day, that emergency fund, I think it's important. I do. So there's principles that I learned from my father
Mhm.
that I still believe in today, that I still, have. But what I was just always, I was the rebel in my family. I just always wasn't happy.
No, not you.
I was never happy with where I was always looking for more. And that's what I think was what drove me constantly. I wanted to have more. I was an administrative assistant. That was my background. I went to Catherine Gibbs School years ago, so I'm aging myself. And I, had two kids, and I went to school. I didn't go to college after high school. I decided to go to college when my kids were 6 and 1. I went to college for the first time. It took me 6 years working full time, two kids, a house, and everything. And I did it on the weekends because I wanted to be more than an administrative assistant. And going to school, I wanted to major in marketing, and I did. And it took me 6 years, but I did it. And I
Mhm.
visualized myself graduating. It was the most beautiful thing when my kids saw me graduate, and I was their model, their role model, that it can be done during any time. It was the most difficult time to get a degree, but that's me. I always tend to do things when it's the most difficult. I could have gone to college right out of high school, but I wasn't ready. The
Yeah.
timing, it always has to be the right time. So as I'm working my jobs, I just kept always having that desire. I wanted more. I wanted more. And I also believe that things happen when they're meant to happen. I was laid off for a reason, because had I never been laid off, I wouldn't have been in business, right? I probably would have still been there working.
Mhm.
And I was commuting into the city, by the way, an hour and a half each way, 3 hours of my life every day with two kids. Okay.
Oof.
3 hours a day out
Oof.
of my life that I was devoted to my company. I survived 9/11. I was supposed to be in the Twin Towers that day, and I changed an appointment, couldn't be there. And then I get laid off 2 years later. So I was meant to do more. So when I got laid off, I said, I actually had a positive attitude with my manager. I didn't feel that way afterwards, but I was like, a door is closing right now, but another door is going to open. I am sure. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah, I've been in that laid off situation, and it was younger when I was in my early 20s. Actually, I was in the city on 9/11
Okay.
in like the Flatiron District, 23rd and
Okay.
5th, I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I mean, at my age, I didn't see it at the time, but if I hadn't been laid off, the job economy was so bad that I was looking for a job for a year, nothing. My lease ran out, my unemployment benefits ran out, and I ended up back in Connecticut. So it wasn't the best scenario at the time, but if I didn't get this is the way I see it. If I didn't get laid off then, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
I agree with you. Things happen. I'm a spiritual person. I believe that there's a higher power. I believe that there's things that we all have. The higher power has a plan for us, and the plan was to be laid off and start a business. And so as I'm starting, my networking and my self discovery, I realize that I want to be free.
Yeah.
I really do. And which leads me to my book. Is
Perfect.
why and how I came across my book, Freedom, it'll be interesting. I love being a public speaker. And so there was a cruise that was available. And it was a leadership cruise. And all of the people on the cruise were speakers. They already wrote a book. I was the only one that never wrote a book. I wasn't an author. And so I wanted to go on this cruise to learn how to be a public speaker. Well, the person who organized the cruise said, well, if you want to speak at our cruise next year, you need to write a book. I said, ooh, I never even thought about writing a book, but I want
Hmm.
to be a speaker on this cruise. So I'll find a way. And through, we did an exercise. The idea just came to me. I said, you know what? Freedom. It just came to me, that because all these years I've been working towards freedom, why not write a book about freedom? And I said, okay, so let me create from the word freedom. What are the seven, it's the 7 letters in the word freedom. How can I create a book from this? I worked with the writer, I worked with other people to get the concept down and figure it all out. So I did work with someone, and it took 3 years to write it, but then it stayed in the edited, it was edited, ready to go. Didn't have a book cover design. And then I finally got it done because I connected with another coach who helps you to get speaking opportunities. And he said, do you have a book? And I said, no, I do, but it's not done yet in the sense of book cover.
Yeah.
We'll get it done. So within a month, the book cover was done. It was published on Amazon. So in May of this year is when it published. But before that, I was a co-author of another book, Success in Any Season, that was about healing transformation on another topic. So I did
Okay.
write that first. This is my first solo book. So the word freedom, and I'll go through the 7 steps. So the F is faith, not the word freedom. Okay. Faith, because I believe in a higher power. For me, I believe in God, and that we all have this higher power, that having the belief in yourself, having that faith that you can do something, whatever it is. So a lot of times we just, again, it's this that stops us. So if you believe in yourself, have that faith that you can do it, it can happen. Okay. The R is release. It's letting go of the outcome. A lot of times, and me included, we want to control the outcomes. We have this plan and it's got to work out perfect. And if it doesn't, you're not going to move forward. So the releasing is all about letting go of the outcome and having that faith that things are going to work out. Okay. Just letting it go and not worried about the how. Okay. Because it's going to happen. So really believing, having that faith and letting that go. The first E is evaluation. So what I mean by evaluation is I had to step back. It's stepping back to the bigger picture. It's looking at, evaluating where you've been,
Mhm.
where I was, what I did, where I am right now. Okay. And so evaluating your progress, evaluating what you've done and what are the skills that you've had that brings you where you are today. Looking at that. So really evaluate your progress, looking at your values, your skills, what is your why, and really, really taking, writing it all out is so important. The second E is energy. Now, you talked a little bit about energy. Energy is everything. Money, our thoughts, I mean, everything we do. Okay, the flow
Mhm.
that we're in. And where I always say, setting intentions. Okay, and the attention follows intention. Okay, so what are you focusing on today? Are you focusing on the good things, or are you focusing on the bad things? Or when I say good and bad, and I'll talk about that more because when I get to the M in the word freedom, you'll understand more. But
Okay.
it's really about your energy, where you're focusing your attention.
Okay.
Okay. The D is determination. When you are passionate, you'll go through any obstacle. When you know your why, and your why has got to be so huge, okay, that you'll get through any obstacle. And life is, has obstacles. Your business, anything in life, there's always going to be the ups and downs. We lost our jobs. That was an obstacle. We had to navigate through the pandemic. Many people lost their jobs. Many people lost family members through this. Okay. And we still have to pivot. I lost a daughter through not because of the pandemic, but other illness. However, it's a challenge that we had to go through. So how are you going to navigate those roadblocks, I call it, and we all have them, but that determination. See, I was so determined to leave my corporate career that I said, I'm going to find any way, don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And I worked with coaches. I didn't do it alone. And I never advise anyone to do it alone because it's going to take you longer. And you really need a coach that's going to give you that guidance, that support, that direction, that accountability is so
Yes.
important. You
Yes.
need accountability. I know for me, if I didn't work with coaches, I wouldn't have been able to leave my career in 2018. Okay. And that's the other thing that I did differently is that I actually worked with a coach, to help me with my mindset. Because a lot of it was my mindset that was keeping me. I was making excuses. I knew what business I wanted to do and I was doing it, but I didn't have that fear was huge, you know?
It's amazing how often we feel we have to go through everything ourselves.
Yes.
Or sometimes we have too much pride and we don't ask for help. We don't want to seem vulnerable. We don't want to seem like we're not fully in control. I think the pandemic has kind of opened our eyes, and we've been a little more honest, I found. So hopefully in this period, people have that support. Because I think just being like this, like in your home, like you feel more comfortable. You feel,
You
you
do.
know, I've said like this is like the closest, knock on wood, that we're going to get to the end of the world. So it's like when we come out of this, why are you going to hold back anything? So that's always like a question that comes up in conversations that I have with other colleagues or networking events. Like, we need to learn what we want to put on the table and not compromise.
Right, not compromise. And really, all of us have unique gifts and abilities. We all have talents. We all have great skills. Why are you not using them? Why are you holding back and not
Absolutely.
sharing them to the world? We're
Yep.
actually being selfish. And this was something that was brought to my attention by a coach, that you're being selfish when you're not sharing your gifts to the world. People need to hear your message. And that's, with my book, sharing the message around freedom. It's going to resonate with some people. It might not with some. There's some people that say, no, this is all fluff. And, I may not, no, I need to get that job. And I get it. Yes, I understand. But are you in the right job? And I say career. Are you having a career? Are you in a career, or are you just in a job every day, just going through the motions?
Yeah.
Life is too short. Okay, life is too short. And I was so blessed to be an entrepreneur because I was able to help my daughter through her journey, and I was able to be there with her. And so think of the time that you're not spending with family and friends because of that job that could just eliminate you tomorrow. I'm going to be
Yeah.
totally blunt here.
Oh yeah.
There is no certainty in life. There is no certainty. And we learned that, okay? So well, okay, with everything that's been going on in the past year and a half. John, did you have something you were going to say?
No, no. I mean, while you've gone through all the words of the acronym, there's just so many great points. You see me nodding a lot just because I agree. And it's crazy to think that people don't understand. Well, not crazy, just because that's the way we're programmed from youth, where your coach is saying you're being selfish by not sharing your values. But if you think about it, everything in education has been, testing and getting ready so that you match up to somebody else's needs. Very rarely, if ever, and I've been out of school for a while, so I don't know what it's like, but very rarely is it have these needs, have these tools, have these abilities, go through this curriculum, but know your worth first before
Yes.
you go
Yes.
to network, before you get into a job. And that's why I've been working more and more with students and early career professionals, is just because
So,
a lot of the issues that I hear with people later in their career is frustration. And when you go through that whole coaching relationship, it turns out that it's exactly what you and I are talking about, what you're sharing with me, that they compromised what they truly wanted, what they never knew they wanted because they didn't stop to look. And all you and I as coaches are asking is stop and take a look, stop and assess. And you said yourself, this book may not be for everybody.
right.
And I say that, when I'm speaking, when I'm presenting, I say, listen, what I'm going to say right now, this is my take. It's not an end all be all. It's not cookie cutter, works for everybody, but please at least consider it. That's all I ask. So I love the fact that you say, it's not going to be for everybody, but I want people to at least consider it.
At least consider it. And I love the fact that you're working with the early career, the students, because what I believe in the education system, there isn't enough education to help you prepare for the right career to go into. You go to college. Oh, my family tells me I need to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I'm going to go into be a doctor or a lawyer, but not really assessing, is this what I really want? I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many people that I've talked to that are lawyers and are miserable
Yeah.
because they
It-
haven't really considered. And so they've just been going through that because of the money, whatever their motivation is. Everybody's motivated by different things. I get it. And so, but what my point is that, yeah, like you said, consider it. Is this the right path? Is this what I really love? And, am I making a difference? For me, it's about, okay, what difference can I make in someone else's life? Okay. So, so getting back to the acronym, for D was determination. The O
Hmm.
was optimism. It's being optimistic. It's utilizing the strategies when you're going through the ups and downs instead of just giving up, okay, and saying, I just can't do this. Like, I hear so many people say, I'm too old. I can't make a change. I can't reinvent myself. What's the point? No one wants me. No one wants my skills, blah, 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 blah. Well, what if you shifted a little bit in your mindset, which leads me to the M in freedom is mindset. It's, where are your thoughts? And your actions come from your thoughts that lead into our results. And when you look at your results and they're not working out the way you want, well, go back to your thoughts. Because, and it begins with, like I said, our mindset and our beliefs. Like my belief around money, like I shared earlier, I just didn't believe that you could make money because it was never enough.
Hmm.
Money was the root of all evil.
Hmm.
I believe that, only the rich get rich and money's greed. Those were the beliefs that I grew up with. Okay. When I realized that there is abundance, money's everywhere for us. If we want it, we want to be abundant. And so having the mindset, there's two types of mindset. One of the books that was a great book, Carol Dweck, The
Yep.
Psychology of Success. And she talks
Yes.
about mindset, growth, and fixed mindset in a lot more detail. But look at, think about your mindset. Are you going into the solution mode, or are you going into the problem and there's no solution? I'm just, like, a
Yeah.
lot of people that I'm training and they're just stuck in
Oh
their
yeah, it's right here.
jobs. Do you have it? Yeah.
I got the book right here.
Yeah. Great
And
book.
and it's great you bring that up because in that book she brings up the way that students are brought up, that they look at tests, they look at scores, and if they don't get to a certain score or have a certain status, that makes up who they are.
I know
That's
their
who they are.
identity.
Their identity is tied to that score versus the effort that you put into it versus that evolution, that ongoing process. So I mean, maybe when I read that book is when I really I was volunteering with college students, but I think when I read that book, it really sunk in that from the very get go, that's why we're having these issues now because that's the way we're programmed when we're younger.
Yeah.
Uh, Tina,
Yeah.
what is it? You talk about the mindset in your family where it was like scarcity versus now abundance, but what was it? What was it that made you think the other way?
You
Or
know,
do you
to,
know when more or less that happened that you were like,
well,
no,
I
that's not the
think,
way it is?
yeah, I mean, later in life, like, I was married, I had the two kids. I was just like, I think personal development, like, reading books, okay, surrounding myself with different books, surrounding myself with different leaders, mentors, just being a sponge, for information, instead of not. And so so I learned differently. I shifted my mindset because I surrounded myself with the right people. They say, who are the
Yep.
5 people you surround yourself with. Well, I started to surround myself with the people that were successful, that were making the money, but they were doing what they love. So a lot of reading, a lot of connecting with people, is what really shifted, my mindset. That's what really did. It wasn't my family.
Hmm.
My family still believe, like, I have family members, my dad and I was just, they still believe in that
Yeah.
way of thinking. That's why
Oh
I
yeah.
said
Oh yeah.
I'm the rebel. I'm the one that thinks differently. I'm the only entrepreneur
No,
in my family on my mother and my father's side.
yeah, I can relate. I mean, my parents were immigrants, so they just came here for better opportunities,
Me
and they
too.
just put their head down and they just worked and worked and worked. Multiple jobs.
Yes.
They wanted me to do better in school. Went to college. Same curiosity as you. So now raising my boys, they're going to have a different environment then. So it takes a couple generations to completely shift that mindset, but it's going to happen. But it just took one generation to go from okay, I got to punch in literally punch because I worked with them at some points, punching in the clock and punching out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I'm not doing that. And my kids will have a different mentality. I don't know what they're going to end up doing, but they're going to have a different mentality. They're going to see different opportunities are possible. I'm going to walk them through this process because I want them to
Absolutely.
have those tools even as young as they are. maybe not the 3-year old, but I think it's good to have these kind of tools when you're younger. Sure, go through a certain curriculum in school, but at least start thinking about it. Doesn't mean you have to have your life figured out when you're 10, 12, 14
No,
years old, but
no, no,
get
no.
into that curiosity mode.
Yes, getting that curiosity mode, and your kids are so, great to have you because, you're a great role model and you can teach them, what works. Like my son, he is an IT professional, works at a company. He's young, he's 33, but he also has a business on the side. He's an entrepreneurial at heart.
Yeah.
And so I must have instilled some of those on him because he saw it all the time, me striving
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur and going towards my dreams. And I'm always, mentoring him about that. And so he'll get there when he will get there, but he realizes that, tomorrow your job can go away,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
unfortunately.
My kid was saying last night as we were getting him ready for bed, he's like, "So I'm gonna be a bus driver in the morning. So I'm gonna do my bus duties in the morning. Then I'm gonna go be a doctor. Then I'm gonna go be a technology guy.
Oh
Then
my
I'm gonna
God.
go back and well, no, then I'm gonna be an engineer, or no, then I'm gonna do my coding." He says, and he's 6 years old. And then I'm gonna go do my afternoon bus duties, and then at night I'm gonna be a singer.
Oh my God, that is just so, I love hearing the youth are just so they're just so innocent and the ideas that come out and yeah, it's
You
so
know, I mean,
nice.
a couple months ago when he first started riding the bus to school, he's like, "I want to be a bus driver when I grow up." I'm like, as long
Okay.
as you're happy, as long as you can, like that's what matters to
Absolutely.
me. It's the happiness.
Is the
So
happiness.
if you're happier
Yes.
than a pig in shit, driving a bus, working in a factory like my parents did, whatever it is, I just like you. I think whatever you're doing, I just want you to be happy. But I want you to consider what the possibilities are.
Right. Consider that there are possibilities out
Yes.
there. So those are my 7 steps that I believe that all of us, can thrive if we follow these. And really, in my book, I have action steps. Every chapter
I
has
was going to
action steps.
ask.
Yes,
Okay.
it has
Okay.
action steps. So it really prompts you to what action you're going to take related to
Hmm.
mindset, faith, all of the 7 steps. So because I don't want this book to be a book that you can just put on a shelf. I want you to have the implement because nothing happens if you don't apply what you read. And I created a course from the book called Success Incubator that is also available. That there's videos and more action steps, more journal prompts and workbook videos that I created from the book. You don't have to buy the book in order to take the course, but it's a great way to expand on the book.
Yeah, I mean it's a good way I would assume to get the foundation of each of the acronyms. You know, in a
Yes,
workshop you can only share so much, but this gives it a little more meat before you go into that
yes,
supportive environment to get the tools going.
correct, correct.
So Tina, a question that I ask the authors that I have on this series is how did this book change you? Um, whether you felt that change during the process, whether you felt that change when you finally, I mean, for you it was a couple of years because it was kind of percolating
Life
in your
happened.
mind. Yeah, life happened. So what did you take away from the process, you yourself, from writing this book?
Well, the process itself, it is quite challenging at times because it's like, okay, what do I want the readers to know? Who's the message going to be? And this book is for it's not, even though I work with corporate women primarily who are in transition, but this book can be for anyone, men or women that really want to change their life, that want to get overcome the blocks that they have in their life. They're saying to themselves, I'm not happy with where I am in my life. I want more, but I just don't know what I want. So this is a great way to really a good foundation to get to that place where I want to thrive. I don't want to survive anymore. I want to be more in the successful, and I need some work
Yeah.
getting through those blocks that I may
O-
have in my life.
Okay. So that's the message you would want people to take away from the book. But how did you evolve as a person
So
in the
how
process of
in the
writing the book, having
process,
it come out? I mean, did you feel? I mean, obviously, you're not writing something you don't believe in. You believe in the message, but how did that shift? Did it strengthen your belief in it? Did it make you think of it in a different way? Did it make you a better leader? What was it that shifted in you with the writing of the book, if anything?
I think really what shifted, really, it wasn't necessarily a shift. It just reinforced that as I'm writing this, that more and more people need this. So for me, it was a validation. It was a reinforcement that you need it. That it's going to be it's a helpful messaging. It's an important messaging. It just shifted more than more of us need to tap into our greatness and really live it every day. Yes, there's going to be the bad. There's going to be those things that are going to come in, our obstacles, but it's helping you to navigate those obstacles. How do you overcome
Yeah,
that? And so I got to tell you, mindset specifically, when I was going through my own journey with my daughter's illness, I got to tell you that mindset piece is what really, and my faith, the faith and the mindset. And I was just determined to find a solution, but unfortunately, God had a plan not to. And so, but while that was going on, I was coaching myself. And I said, and I didn't even have the book. The book wasn't even launched yet. It was written, hadn't been launched, but I had it in, I knew it, I had it in me, and I was applying it myself in my own personal life. So it shifted for me that we have obstacles. I have faith. I still, like, even today, I'm working on my second book. Okay. That will be launched next year. It's going to be all about the loss of a loved one. And it's going to be for grieving moms more, but parents in general. And how do you go from pain to peace in your lost journey? I call it the lost traveler. We are lost travelers,
that's a great
and
title.
so that's the title that I'm working with right now that spoke to me. And I'm in the first draft of it. But I think, getting back to your question, the book really shifted me, that the mindset, the faith, determination. I mean, there was a time that my daughter would say, Mom, enough with the mindset crap, and because she was she was the one experiencing it. I was there as the witness and watching it,
Yeah,
but she was in it. And so it may be more difficult when you're in it. But I was coaching her to look, think differently. And we were in the solution mode. But unfortunately, like, this is what I say, and I say this in my book too. We want to control, but sometimes things are not meant to happen that way with our careers, our life in
yeah,
general. They're not. They're meant to go in another direction. And so I believe that the journey that I had with my daughter, that there's another purpose. There's going to be another direction that I'm going to be taking. And because of my faith is where I'm saying, okay, God, for me, what is my purpose now? What message do I need to share because of this that just happened?
yeah. I mean, just I love that mindset as the last one because it's just kind of like all of that culminates in what your mindset is.
It does.
And it sounds hokey, it sounds lofty, it sounds like, yeah, I don't know, foo foo, but it's incredible, and it may sound that way in those ways to people because we're not taught to think about mindset.
We're
Again,
not. We're
we're
not.
just given a script of curriculum. Here are the tools. Attaboy, go get them.
Exactly. Exactly.
And families may have people that are more encouraging. Like my parents to me, they were blue collar workers, so they
Me
they had
too.
different priorities than me to my son. So if you're lucky enough, you grow up in a certain household, and my lessons are based on their lessons. So it's
Yes.
not to take anything away from their lessons at all. But I don't think we have that enough in life where we think about mindset. Like if something is happening to us, if something is out of our control, how do you handle it? What are your options? I don't think we think that way. I think what resonates in this entire conversation is, and it comes up a lot, is you can either play the cards you're dealt or do something about the game and what you can bring to the game or change the game.
Change the
Um,
game. What can you
and
change? What can you do?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and obviously with your daughter's illness, that's just a completely different thing that's left completely out of people's hands. But when it
Yes.
comes to anything that we can more or less control, jobs, careers,
Yes.
connections, networking.
Our
Um,
attitude. We can we
yeah, it's
can
like
control
d-
our attitude every day. We can create those intentions every day.
Exactly. Don't just sit in the environment where you are and say look around saying, "Oh, I don't have any connections. I don't have any network. I don't know anybody that does this or that." You do have to step outside. You do have to take that step beyond what you see and go look for. It's out there. You know what I mean? If I've realized it even more during the pandemic, where it's like, okay, if we're limited, then I gotta go and network. I gotta go meet new people just because I'm a curious person. I met you. You have a great story, and you're a connection of mine.
Right.
We've already
Exactly.
helped each other network. And it's not just, you have to work for your own business. You have to make money. But if you're not providing value to anybody else, that doesn't work. So what I'm trying to say is we try to help each other to bolster up each other's businesses, but we get value out of helping other people.
We do. We do.
So
You know, you do
you
get
have to
value.
seek out what's really going to fire you up, whether
Yes.
you want to call it passion or not. Because people are like, "Oh, don't call it passion." All right, whatever fires you up. Like
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
know.
have to. You get lost in the definition of what word, and I'll
Yep.
just try to. So
Yeah.
no, I appreciate everything you've shared. It's an amazing story, and I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to the next book that's coming out.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me today. And so if your listeners want to know how can they grab a copy, the link, you'll have the link. I'll send it to you.
Yep.
But it's on Amazon, Freedom: 7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business. And lifeisideal.com, as you can see here, is my website. You can also grab it on my website as well. And I offer a 30-minute complimentary clarity call. If somebody wants to get on a call with me to share with me their journey, where they are, they might be in transition right now. They want to leave, they don't know what they want to do, or they want to be an entrepreneur. They know that I help with business planning. If you become an entrepreneur, I can help you to really launch your business strategy and help you to really get that started. I have that
Yeah.
framework for
If
you.
anybody has a feeling, but they're not quite sure that the call is for them, I say do it, just because don't approach it with what you think you already know, because what you want to get into is the areas that you're not sure of. And
Right.
having somebody on the other side of that line to
Yes.
ask you questions, it's amazing. And I've had it myself where I've had coaching conversations with people, and other people hear that and they're like, yeah, but you're a coach. You can figure it out yourself. Doesn't that make you a shitty coach? I'm like, no, coaches need coaches. Like
Yes.
everybody needs a sounding board. Everybody needs somebody to ask them
Oh, yes.
questions. I don't see everything in my purview. Somebody else might spot something that I haven't considered. So if it's only like 1% of you saying, oh, maybe I should call, give it a try, because I'm sure Tina has considered what to ask people to get out like the best responses and really wake people up. So I think it's great. I think that's great that you offer that
Yes, I do.
complimentary call. So
Yes.
thank you for that, Tina.
Thank you, John, so much. And I appreciate everybody who's listening in here and having me here today. I love it.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I'd love to talk about that next book when that comes out.
Yes, absolutely. I will keep you posted, John.
Please
As
do.
I move closer, it's in the rough first draft mode right now. My daughter's birthday's on January 27, and I would love to launch it by then, but we shall see. So
Yeah. Even she would probably say, "Mom, relax. It's okay. It's all right.
she
It's all
would.
right."
She knew me that she would say, Mom, just take a chill.
Yeah, mom, your mindset is overworking, mom. Relax.
Yes, relax, Mom. That's
But
right.
thank you for sharing about your book. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
about your experience, your family, your daughter's journey, your journey with your books. So thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you, John. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
So thank you for sitting down with me. And remember, everybody, the book is Freedom: 7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business. If there's anything I might have missed, there's only so much limited time that we have. Anything I might have missed that I should have asked Tina, please let me know. I'll relay it to her in any way I can. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take
Bye
care.
bye.